Namaste, dear friends. Um, One common question that is usually asked during yoga workshops or yoga seminars is what is the difference between yoga styles and yoga types? So, I would like to spend some time on this important question. Uh, we have to understand the history of yoga and how yoga moved towards the West. When yoga uh, was started to be preached to the West in late 1800s or early 1900s, or more so rapidly later in the 1950s or 60s or 70s. Uh, Mainly, that the aspect of yoga that was taken to West was the physical aspect, that is the aspect of asana practice. Now, as we know, all yoga is not asana. Asana is just a part of yoga. Yoga, in its whole holistic sense, is a science of self transformation, and asana is the aspect of yoga in which we pay attention to stabilization and purification of the physical body. So, especially in the 1950s and 1960s, as more and more teachers started going to the West from India and the Indian subcontinent to teach uh, yoga in the West, uh, they taught primarily the asana aspect. And as each teacher grew in their own influence, their way of practicing and teaching asana started to be regarded as yoga style. So, in short, the definition of yoga style is the way in which asana is practiced. I'm saying again, a yoga style is a way in which physical practice, that is the asana practice of yoga, is done. And that's why if in the modern times you go into yoga studio and look at their timetable, you will see many different yoga styles being offered in the yoga studio. What they really mean is, though it is regarded as yoga style, it is basically a way of doing asana. It's primarily related to the physical, gross practice of mobilization and stabilization of the physical body. Uh, on the other end, yoga type is a broader context. Yoga type is basically a whole philosophical orientation which takes the individual from his or her limited aspect to the liberated aspect and liberates the individual from the shackles of limited perception and establishes him or her in his or her true self. And that's why, especially in Bhagavad Gita or other aspects of yoga, we see different yoga types like bhakti yoga or dhyana yoga or karma yoga or kundalini yoga or nada yoga. These are all uh, specific orientations of philosophy and technique that guarantee to take an individual to the highest level of self realization. So, yoga type is a broad yogic umbrella in itself. For example, Hatha Yoga. Now, Hatha Yoga, even though people understand Hatha Yoga as a yoga style today, it is a yoga type. We can qualify it as a yoga type because Hatha Yoga is a broad philosophical orientation with its own indigenous techniques, methodologies to gradually take the participant or the practitioner from a limited state of mind and body to a completely universal experience of true self. So, once again, encapsulating, yoga style is the way asanas are practiced, and yoga type is a complete, broad philosophical orientation with its own methodologies to take the individual from a limited state of mind to a completely universal state of experience. I hope this helps. Please don't get confused and keep doing your practice, because it's only practice that will bring you to experience of yoga. Just indulging in theory and fantasizing in intellectual debates will not take you to the final realization of yoga. And that realization is establishing yourself in the deepest state of contentment, deepest state of peace, where sufferings, even though they come to you, you handle the sufferings in a very stable, unshaken state of mind and are always rested in a peaceful state of being. I hope this helps. Thank you. Namaste.